new kind of cool.
For every man, woman, and child you know.
Ask for a free demonstration now.
But wait, there's more.
What a wild idea.
It's Ad Nauseam, the show where two old, balding advertising dudes watch spots, crack wise, and drop knowledge as they critique the good, the bad, and the exceedingly ugly commercials of yesterday and today. Now, here's the Siskel and Ebert of commercial criticism. The ad world's boob tube brothers, Mike and Joe.
All right, let's get ready to put commercials on the spot as we review the most provocative, daring, creative, unusual, amazing, hackneyed, overhyped, dumb, or just plain awful on-air and online ads of the recent and distant past.
All right, I'm ready with a spot I found the other day, Mike.
Yes.
That I can't quite figure out. Let's watch it together and see where it went wrong or maybe went right.
I like to smell my beard after a really good meal. Dude, you don't need to get that personal when you get the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It just helps you create an affordable price. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
I'd buy that for $1.
Now listen, this is a gross, kind of stomach-churning, lame attempt to build identification and common interest with the American bearded hipster crowd.
Yeah, and they do make up a market and influential on social media especially.
It's 75% of all American men age 18 to 59 now wear beards all the time, I get it.
I could never grow a good beard, so I never thought about it. But I can understand the appeal, and I can understand the segment of the cultural phenomena called the hipster that it is. Mm-hmm. But it's too obvious, this one.
And you see this a lot in advertising these days. It's a technique called borrowed interest. And it's where a product seeks to latch onto a popular trend in the current culture to exhibit how cool and aware and with it that company is, and to build a positive rapport with those who are engaged in that trend, like wearing beards.
Well, I don't blame any effort of inclusion. Mm-hmm. Hipsters included, this included. I have no problem with that. The problem I have is the fact there's an underlying annoyance in this spot.
And what is that?
He's smelling his beard after a meal, and I want to know, what was that meal? Okay, do you mind?
Are you implying something here?
Yeah, I think it's obvious. I think it's...
Well, state it for our audience. What do you think?
He's a cunnilingus fellow.
That's the fact, Jack! That's the fact, Jack!
There you go. So you think it has a sexual overtone to it?
I think so. I don't think it's... I don't think I'm being... I got to apologize to anyone. I don't feel like... But I feel like he's had sex.
Okay.
And he's reliving the meal that he had. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I've seen too much crap in my life, but it's weird. It seems obvious to me.
All right. So how appealing would that be to what is now 50% of insurance buyers, according to a recent survey, are women? Well, so is that an appealing thing for a guy to be doing that?
You see that spot, and you don't know it's about a personal price plan at a certain point. You go, what is this about? I don't even remember.
You lose touch with with the
all I remember
premise.
is him smelling his beard, and the product is something to do with State Farm, but I didn't get the idea of what the personal price plan is.
Yes, and why it wouldn't ever need to get to that level of personal proclivity, let's say.
But it's also, if you look at the way that, we should roll the spot again. If you look at the way the guy lurches at him at the beginning, hey, guess what? Like I did. Oh wow, please.
Well, maybe you're right, but why don't we look at the spot again and talk about it, and I'll tell you how I think it got through as an idea.
I like to smell my beard after a really good meal. Dude, you don't need to get that personal when you get the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It just helps you create an affordable price. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
There's about 20 people.
I think you make a very cogent point, which is when a concept overtakes the message, have you been successful as an advertiser?
No, you haven't been.
Because you said all you remember is smelling the beard.
Right, and something to do with Allstate.
So there's no real association to what they're selling, which is a personal price plan, allegedly customized to your particular needs.
The overall personal price plan campaign which by now you're really familiar with the football players and stuff like that. I still don't have it spelled out why I should be doing this and what it's all about.
Yeah, especially in a 15-second spot where there's no time.
Right.
See, I've been looking at what you're doing, and I think you're in desperate need of change.
See, sometimes advertising people, and I've worked in agencies in New York and California for decades, they get into this situation where, and let me explain to you how it happens. There's a 25-year-old creative team, generally speaking, I'm guessing on this. And they're millennials, and it's an art director and a copywriter.
Right.
They probably both have beards.
Yeah.
And they walk into the creative presentation with the client, and they say to the clean-shaven, let's say 45-year-old client who's the marketing director, hey, listen, you don't know this. We know this. Beards are cool. Beards are hip. People like beards. And it's implied that Mr. Clean-shaven dude who's working in a sort of a stodgy environment like a insurance company is about as hip as we say, King Charles at a rap concert.
Take that crazy rhythm. Rap.
So he then has this fear. And what is the fear?
To be out of touch.
Yeah. And they play on that fear.
Isolated and
Irrelevant.
feeling like you're irrelevant, like you're not. And you're supposed to be in a business that has its pulse on the culture, and you're sort of not.
So they're almost bullying the client through his own fears and insecurities into buying an idea that we believe is not getting the message across. Right? And is gross. And maybe is alienating a big chunk of the audience at the same time.
But it also acts as a parody of hipster life. It does. It's almost a purposeful parody. Like it's done, to be memorable that way. Oh, he's making fun of hipsters.
Yeah. And is that their intent? I don't know.
I know.
I mean, they're supposed to be selling insurance product. I don't know that they're doing that. I think, to your point, what you remember is State Farm and smelling a beard. That's what you remember from this spot. That's your takeaway.
I have no idea.
So what's the personal price plan? Do some people not know that State Farm's insurance? I think most people know that. But how does it all come together? It doesn't.
No.
So that's the
fails
problem.
as a spot.
There it is.
Because you're there to retain a client relationship, to retain payment for your work. And if your work isn't producing revenue on the other end of people buying that product, then you're in trouble.
It's called advertising.
And it's just, in that case, it's just creatives being creative for their own sake.
Yes.
And for their own ego.
I mean, I love being funny and creative and nuts with things that I do.
Sure.
But it doesn't always work to sell a product. And it's not,
I agree.
And I get it. But there's people chomping at the bit to be funny, to be humorous, to be hip. And that's what you get. You get in that type of spot.
Yeah, I call it a phobia.
Yeah.
Fear of being irrelevant.
Yeah.
And that's what they play upon with clients.
I know you can't do hard information in 15 seconds, and it's there to reinforce the branding. I get all that, but it's still sort of, it hits you with some really strange connotations. It does.
Is it just for shock value?
Yeah, I think so.
Is it to just make you remember something to do with a beard and something to do with State Farm? Is that the whole goal?
Well,
here?
this is the
because
other,
I'm not getting personal protection.
This is the other end of the campaign, where most of the campaign is Patrick Mahomes of Kansas City with doing markers on his face, doing this and that, and everything's too personal, this and that. And I guess they sort of angled off this way to say, well, we have a little sidebar to this, where he smells his beard and it's fun, and it just reinforces the brand. Because, but once again, it's shock value. It feels shocking to see that kid smell his beard. And I never knew anyone would really do that, but
I've never seen anybody do it. What I'm wondering is, in a campaign, after a number of spots where you delve into the personal aspect of a Patrick Mahomes or whatever, if you start to run out of gas with that idea, and then you go for shock value. Because that's the idea that's left. We have to one-up this one. We have to one-up the next one we did. We've done 10 of these. What do we do now? All right, let's shock people.
And they throw some sort of sexual connotation. I get it, but not quite obvious, not quite,
and make
prurient.
It weird and odd.
It's just odd. It simply is odd, but it sort of feeds off this idea that, let's just do it. You know what I mean? Like basically.
And maybe
did they get worn out at, like you talked about a production meeting or a meeting at the, and did you just wear them down after a certain point?
I think they wear them down, and I think a successful campaign opens the doors to even more weirdness over time. Or more, reaching further with the creative, not just weirdness, but going further, pushing it, and the client's just sitting back going, yeah, you guys have done 10 great spots. Here's the 11th.
I wonder if on the set, that was completely planned to sniff his beard, or there was something else, because you can do anything now with cameras and digital and everything's, so you can keep rolling and doing things.
Do you think they had a different concept?
They might have. He might have just said, I got an idea.
Yeah.
He says, I'm going to smell my beard.
Yeah.
That's what that hipster would do, because hipster can say a lot of other things.
They can also, in a day shoot like that, say maybe the personal thing is that he's a singer. He sits there and sings a song.
I could start blurting out.
I love
here's my favorite Radiohead song.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to get that personal, right? All right. So how do you rate it?
I give it, well, as far as like the impact it has, I give it 2 Ralphies.
And that's for giving the audience a vomit-inducing stomach churn instead of a belly laugh. So that's all the ad nausea will foist upon you for now.
Hey, Mike.
No, you're talking to the audience.
Hey, people. What's your favorite spot? Or your least favorite spot? Share it in the comments below.
And be sure to give a Will Smith-style slap to the like button and subscribe.
Yes, that way we can get paid for all this nonsense.
So join us next time on Ad Nauseam, where we put commercials on the spot.
Wow, that's amazing.
But wait, there's more.
This is pretty much the worst video ever made.
Only 98 cents wherever toys are sold.
You look so good.
I just got the craziest idea.
Hello, everyone.
Will it make me sick like the reefers did?